Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Roam with Romy, where I talk about life, love, and culture. Today's video is a highly requested video. I've gotten so many comments. Do Jodie Turner Smith and Joshua Jackson. Do Jodie Turner Smith and Joshua Jackson. Well, today's your lucky day. So before I get into today's case study, I have to put out my disclaimer as usual. Disclaimer. Everything that I say in this video is just speculation based on information that's published on public platforms. I also will be using some of my life experiences and highlighting some important parts of their story that I think would be relevant to you all and for you all to learn. This video is also only for educational purposes only. Now that we got the disclaimer out of the way, let's start this video. Now, the reason why I decided to cover this story is because I have noticed that a lot of the stories that I've covered are of young women. This one will actually be relevant to my older ladies out there, especially those who are 30 plus. This video is for you. I have to give a bit of background about myself. I know for those of you who know me, you guys can skip this part. If this is your first time watching my channel, welcome. My name is Romy. I am a Canadian, but my parents are from Haiti, so I'm first generation Canadian. I was born in Montreal, Canada, moved to the United States when I was 4 years old. I grew up in the US up until I was 18 years old, moved back to Montreal, then moved to Toronto, then moved to Korea, and now I'm back in Canada. More particularly, I am in the beautiful Victoria, BC. This story hits home because I'm going to touch upon a lot of topics, especially when it comes to dating, being sheltered, being raised by Caribbean parents, and the expectations. Enough of the yapping. Let's get to this case study. So, Jodie Turner Smith and Joshua Jackson. Where do I even begin, y'all? This story is messy. I have a feeling that it was recommended because it's so messy. Buckle up, because this is going to be a forensic case study where we're going to dissect their backgrounds, and we're going to also dissect their relationship and what I believe were the red flags that were apparent from jump. Because y'all, the red flags were swinging. They were waving in this story. So first, let's start with Joshua Jackson. Joshua Carter Jackson was born in Vancouver, British Columbia on June 11th, 1978. Yes, y'all, he is a Gemini man. Now, I don't go over signs too much on my channel. I remember one of my Discord members had asked me to go over signs and wonders about men, and I might make a video about that, but I'm not too well versed on it per se to give a lot of information. But I have noticed that, you know, there are certain truths to the astrological signs and the type of personality people have. So yes, y'all, he is a Gemini man. Do with that information as you will. Now, he is best known for his role on Dawson's Creek as Pacey Witter. His father is American and was born in Texas, and his mother is from Ireland. So he was born in an intercultural household. So somewhere along the way, his mother met his dad in the US or in Canada. They don't really specify, but he was born in Canada. Then he lived in the US until his father abandoned the family. Thereafter, his mother moved them to Vancouver, and that's where he stayed for a bit until she went back to Los Angeles. Now, his mother was a casting agent, so sis had connections in Hollywood.
Actually, your mom worked in the business. That's how you got started?
Yeah, my mom was actually, well, my mom did everything in the business, but my mother was a casting director, which is like a good little bit of nepotism. So she brought me in and said, I really like this kid. I think you should give him a job.
Casting director for what show?
She cast MacGyver for a while, which is actually where I got my first job. And then she did a lot of movies in Vancouver.
Did you beg her for the opportunity to work on MacGyver? Mommy, please, Mommy, please.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't quite put it like that, but yeah, I did.
So who did you play on MacGyver? Was it
on
just
MacGyver, I was like extra kid number 8.
Yeah.
Because my mother, she wanted to make sure that I had a healthy respect for the work. I mean, as you know, you do this every day. So she made me do a lot of extra work and stand-ins before I was ever allowed to audition for any substantial
That's great.
parts.
It gave you a great experience, a great insight.
Absolutely.
About the whole
So, you know, on the weekends, I would go and I'd do, you know, an extra gig and I work for 8 hours. And she thought this would kind of dissuade me. And I was like, no, this is great. I love this. I go and I hang out with kids and, you know, I play with toys and they pay me. This is great.
His mom had to work a lot and work many jobs. And he described it as having a precarious childhood where there was economic uncertainty.
So my background, son of a single mother. We went through some economic shifts over the course of our life. My father wasn't really in the picture. So Dawson's was the first time I ever actually had money.
One day while his mom was working, he was sitting on the couch, and then one of the casting directors for another TV show or movie came in and asked him and another young boy if they wanted to be part of like a scene. And that's where his acting started.
She saw what that did to kids and had no desire to professionalize her children. But because she was also a single mom, I was in her office a lot over the summer while she was casting that movie. And after auditioning and auditioning and auditioning other people, finally the director was like, why don't, because her assistant was also a single mom, so that we two boys would just hang out in the office and we were there all the time. And finally they're like, why don't you guys just come in and just read this? Just come on in. And they ended up giving us the job.
His first acting appearance was on the TV series titled Crooked Hearts, and it was at the age of 11. Now, there was something very disturbing.
Actually, the first ever kissing scene I had was, I was 11 years old, and the woman was, let's say, hitting 30, and for her sake, well, unfortunately she was 6 months pregnant, so it kind of took away from the, yeah, it was like good and then bad all at the same time.
So straight away you were educated that this isn't reality.
Welcome to Hollywood, baby.
So y'all mean to tell me that it is normal for an 11-year-old boy to kiss a 30-year-old pregnant woman? That's a red flag, and that's not for him. That's a red flag for the Hollywood studios. The fact that they would even allow this, it is extremely sickening, and it just goes to show you how children were not protected, especially during that time.
Vampire you did when you were, how old? You were like
11 years old.
You were 11 years old, and
Thank you.
I can't believe that.
I know. I could retire right now. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
32 now, and I could retire. I've had a long career.
You started really early. You did
Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire. You were 11, and it was your first screen. You had a screen kiss with
did.
Brad Pitt
Yeah,
when you were 11.
I did. Although I thought it was disgusting. It was like, I was 11. It would have been weird if I was like, this is amazing. I'm
Right.
kissing Brad Pitt. Like, then I think people would think I was a little bit off.
You know what's funny is when she was 14 when we started the show. I was like 19, right?
Right.
And they're like, okay, you guys are going to be making out in this scene. And I'm like thinking like, wait, this is like slightly illegal,
That's
right?
probably your first kiss ever, right?
It was my first kiss. What if someone Becky made with Danny about our first kiss?
No, it wasn't the first kiss. It was like a second or third kiss.
It was like the first week.
No, it was not the first week.
Whatever. Let me tell you what happened.
No, let me tell you what happened.
No. Okay, so I never kissed a guy. So I was so. I mean, you know, Ash was attractive, and I was a 14-year-old little girl, and I was extremely scared for my life.
Sure.
And he was very nice about it. He was like, oh, don't worry. So I was like, okay. Then Danny goes and goes, dude, I'll give you $10 if you French kiss her. When would you stick your tongue in my mouth or some?
What? No.
For $10.
You're making it sound like it was like really. Okay, Dan, we had a little side bet going.
Yeah.
Like,
Which was?
It wasn't very
as to
side.
whether or not, you're kissing on the show or boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
You would use tongue, right, Rosie? I mean,
It depends what kind of an actor you are, I guess.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
So Danny bets me like $20 that I wouldn't do it. And of course I'm like, yeah, sure, what's the deal? You know?
And then the cop showed up and you got arrested pretty much.
They
But
should have,
he
but
never
they didn't.
did it. And
I
he
so
claims-
did.
He
I so
claims to this day he did that. I swear.
Mila, I
Never.
so did
He
it.
never did it?
I
so
didn't let
did.
him. I think he tried, but I think I
No.
kept myself so
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. You did the old teeth block?
Yes.
Yeah,
You didn't let us do the teeth block. You were like, oh,
Yes, he never got his
You were
tongue
going
in his mouth.
You didn't, Ashton. Just admit it.
Dad, I swear.
She's 14. She did it. You stop it.
She would, no, that was not the first. You had turned 15 by then.
No, she was 12, but I know it.
There's a big difference. Not 1 year makes the whole world change.
The fact that he was allowed to kiss a grown-ass woman, and the fact that she did it, and the way that he's saying it was like, oh well, and I'm like, you were 11 years old. You had no business kissing anybody, let alone a grown woman. We can tell that he has some childhood trauma, y'all. Basically, his father left the family. On top of that, his mom had to work a lot of hours to support her children because she had 2 kids. She had him and his sister. And then on top of that, they got him playing kissy face with grown-ass women. This don't make no sense. And I know some people are going to be like, well, it was the 90s. No, it doesn't matter if it was the 90s or before. People knew that it was wrong. They just knew that they could get away with it. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's my opinion. They just knew that they could get away with this kind of behavior. There is no reason an 11-year-old should be kissing a grown woman. I don't care how great that role is. This should never have happened. Now, let's continue on to his most notable movies. He first starred in Crooked Hearts with that disgusting kissing scene. Then after that, he was in the movie Payoff. And then this was his breakout role as a child. It was when he played Charlie Conway in the movie The Mighty Ducks.
Hi. We're the Ducks. Warriors? What the hell are we now?
Now, Joshua, people know you really well for your lead role in The Mighty Ducks. Now, in that movie, you played a very healthy and robust young man, full of energy.
If you grew up in the 90s, such as myself, you would know that The Mighty Ducks was such a huge movie, along with Karate Kid. We had so many kids' movies, y'all. We had The Sandlot. We had Heavyweights, the one where them little boys went to fat camp. Like, 90s was lit when it came to movies. So if you haven't had a chance to watch The Mighty Ducks, I would highly recommend it. It's just one of those childhood movies that's just feel good, very innocent. And it just makes you root for the underdog, basically. After playing in a lot of movies and TV shows, he was chosen to play Pacey Witter on Dawson's Creek. His character was like the rebel, the bad boy, and all the girlies, they loved him, y'all.
You guys, please give it up for the cast of Dawson's Creek.
Today, I am celebrating.
Celebrating.
Pacey done good.
Oh, Pacey done very good. I got my first A.
Freaking, we're here in the school and everything.
And doing the walk and talk.
Yeah, I know.
Like I said, the hallmark of Dawson's
Tricky.
Creek.
So how are you? How's your summer been since you came over to London and everything?
Well, it was fab. I went back home and then I was traveling around for about a month and a half, and then I actually came to Europe for a month and kicked around there and did what every self-respecting Norte Americano does, put on a backpack and didn't bathe regularly. It was a wonderful experience. Now I'm back and I'm bald and it's a whole new season.
What's going to happen to Pacey this year?
Well, he has the girl, you know.
Yeah. Is he going to keep her?
Well, you know, Pacey seemed like the type of guy who would hold on to a girl for that long.
I don't know.
It's not that type of guy. I don't know. He falls in love, and then, as of course it happens to happen on Dawson's Creek, it's a stormy relationship, and then they break up, and I think they probably get back together, and who knows what's going to happen.
And what's with the
That's
storm?
the BS answer for it. I have no idea.
Okay. Everyone keeps talking about the storm thing. You're doing something stormy tomorrow. What's that?
Yes. Well, we thought, you know, George Clooney looked pretty damn cool jumping around the boat in the middle of the storm, so we just hack it as much as we could. But we call it an homage, not a hack. It's just, we're just making an
So you're
homage
gonna do a perfect
to the
storm
perfect storm.
scene?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, 8 more months on Dawson's Creek, then an impending union strike, and a vacation over the summer again next year.
You're just going to chill next year as well?
I don't know. That's a long way away from right now. So there's no, I don't have any plans to be working next year, but if I get offered a job that I want to do, then yeah, I'll be working. If not, I'll be hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to come back to the UK because, you know, when you came over, you had a bit of a stir, your cause and everything.
Yeah, that was strange, actually.
But you said last time that you wanted to be in the tabloid press and you didn't quite achieve that. So will you come back and go for that one
I
again?
have to work on it. It's because I was so busy last time with a little bit more idle time, you know, being idle hands, being the devil's playthings. I think I will, definitely. I think I could make more than one rag, actually. I think because I didn't make one last time, I need to make 2 this time.
Okay.
To kind of even it out, you know?
2 tabloids. They'll love you for that. They'll love you for that. Now tell us, we've been asking around on the set. Well, I've been asking around this morning. Okay. Who is the funniest person on set? And you kind of winning this poll here. Okay. Oh, they need you.
One thing that Joshua Jackson can do is he can act his butt off. That man is a brilliant and phenomenal actor. This man has a long resume. The fact that he went from a child star to an adult actor speaks volumes, because it is very, very difficult for child stars to break out into the adult industry. And they, you know, they go through a lot of issues such as drug abuse. Sometimes they get sexually abused. There's so many things that happen to children in Hollywood. The fact that he was able to make it out was a big blessing. And one thing I will say about him is he's very humble when it comes to his roles. Some actors, grateful, they act like they're better than their past career, Creek, and all of his other achievements. And that's one thing I will say, is that he was very humble about it.
Such a game changer for so many of you. How do you reflect on that huge period of time?
It's hard to encapsulate it into one thing because it was 6 years of my life, and obviously 6 pretty transformative years of my life. But I look back on it now from a 44-year-old perspective, and I'm just so thankful to have been given the opportunity to be an actor every day. I did it in the era before social media, so all the dumb stuff I was getting into was between me and whoever I was doing it with. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm just really, really thankful for that time in my life. And obviously it then set me up to like have the opportunity to have a career for another 20 years.
Another thing to note about Joshua Jackson and his childhood is that he described his mother as a feminist. And that's very interesting to know. Y'all just gonna remember that. He said that his mother was all about women's rights and that she would basically knock him upside his head if he did anything to women. So she made sure that she had her son on the straight and narrow growing up. Now we're going to see if mama's influence was able to kind of show up and appear in his adult life. Now, even though he was a good boy and doing all the right things and making his mama proud, he still had a lot of issues.
You were asked to, what happened in high school? You were asked to leave, you decided to leave, what happened?
Well, I was asked to leave a couple of times. The first time I was asked to leave because I wasn't part of the school spirit, and I don't really know what that means. I'm not exactly sure, but they just decided.
They can ask you to leave if you don't have enough school spirit?
Apparently so. Anybody who's still going to Ideal Mini, ask Georgie what exactly the school spirit is, because I'm still perplexed 7, 6, however long ago it was, many years later. And then the second time I was asked to leave, it was a much more legitimate reason. I had the second most absences of anybody in grade 10, and the first guy was sick. He was in the hospital somewhere. So I figured that doesn't really count. I was the number one guy.
You're like, but that guy gets to do it. He's really sick. So?
Yeah. So that was my claim to fame. That was the highlight of my high school.
Would that make you cool on campus, or?
Well, it made me. I wasn't there long enough to know.
Right.
I was never there.
Just like you, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. High school was not great times for me.
And in America, as far as the whole thing is concerned, has it come to light that you were expelled from school?
Yeah, I was actually expelled from school twice.
Twice, by the way, twice. This isn't in the show. Yeah. This is in real goddamn life.
Well, it's just I didn't feel like I got it right the first time, so I wanted to go back and make sure that I got expelled right the second time.
You're such a nice guy. What did you do wrong?
I was argumentative, and the first time I have no idea. They told me I wasn't part of the school spirit, which still to this day doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
But the second time, I just never went. That was the problem. I was always absent from school. I'd stay up late watching the Jon Stewart show, actually, and then I wouldn't go to class in the morning. So
there was no violence involved?
No, it was just argumentative and being, righteous and young and stupid and thinking I knew everything.
Now let's get into the time he got arrested. So Joshua Jackson was charged with drunkenly assaulting a security guard at a hockey game in Raleigh, North Carolina. Red flag, red flag. At that time, he was 24 years old. This was a long time ago. This was in 2002, y'all. So he was a young man. However, that doesn't excuse his behavior. Let's read what happened. So it says here, the 24-year-old actor was arrested Saturday night at a game between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jackson posted a $1,000 bail early Sunday. He's scheduled to appear in court on the misdemeanor charge December 4th. So this man done went buck on the security guards, y'all. He was so drunk, he couldn't handle himself at a hockey game. Imagine, this man done played in the Mighty Ducks and he really showed his behind at the hockey game. Dawson's Creek co-star Joshua Jackson was accepted into an alcohol education program after his arrest at a hockey game. This man is 24 years old, y'all. Jackson was placed in the program Wednesday after admitting he was drunk and disruptive at a November 9th Carolina Hurricanes game. Jackson originally was charged with being drunk and disruptive by fighting and simple assault for allegedly grabbing a security guard around the neck and striking him. For what? What, Pacey? I don't understand. Like, what was the reason? You couldn't just go and enjoy the game? Like, they need to stop serving people drinks at these games, because this is what's going to happen. I believe that, and airplanes too. We don't need to be serving people. After he was arrested, he was tested at the jail and his blood alcohol content showed 0.14. My goodness. Prosecutors agreed to dismiss the simple assault charge and amend the drunk and disruptive charge by omitting the fighting allegation. He wanted to hide that. Red flag. He wanted to hide that. Yeah. So basically what he ended up doing was attending 15 hours of alcohol and substance abuse education and then completing 24 hours of community service. He must remain employed and not be convicted of any misdemeanor or felony charges while in the program. Okay, so there you have it. Joshua Jackson has a sketchy past. And of course, you know, a lot of actors do. Let's not act like people don't, like, get into trouble, especially when they're young. But I just find it's what you did. That's the thing. It's what you did that makes the difference. Because in my mind, I'm like, sir, you were just supposed to go and enjoy the game. Why are you fighting and scrapping? Knucking and booking and ready to fight. This is not a good look, y'all. So this just shows me that he cannot handle his liquor. So he has no self-control. And it also shows me that he has a bad side to him. And I mean, everyone does. Not everybody is going to be the cookie cutter image that you see online or in social media. But let's just keep this in mind, because homeboy likes to get buck. Like, this is insane. But anyway, that's what happened. It was in his past. Let's see if he gets into any more trouble along the way. Now, let's get into his relationships, because this part is very important. Now that we've heard about Joshua Jackson's beginnings and his childhood, let's transition over to the beautiful, gorgeous, stunning Jodie Turner-Smith. Jodie Turner-Smith was born on September 7th, 1986. Sis is a Virgo. Yeah, and remember I said he a Gemini. All right. And she was born the year that I was born. So sis is my age. So we grew up around the same time. So I could actually give you guys some context as to the pop culture at the time as well. She was born in Peterborough, England, to Jamaican parents. And she is the only one of her siblings who was not born in Jamaica. This is very important, y'all. So that means that her parents are Jamaican. Just like my parents were Haitian. So while we probably grew up in Western society and Western culture, while we were at school and in our outside extracurricular activities, when we came home, it was island time, Caribbean time. And when you're home, that's when all of that Western stuff goes out the door, because your parents is going to treat you like a child from their home country. Another thing to note is that her parents are actually divorced. So similar to Joshua Jackson, sis grew up in a broken home. When she was 10 years old, they moved to the United States and they lived in Maryland. And then she ended up going to school and studied finance at the University of Pittsburgh. She graduated in 2008 and then she worked at a bank.
Okay, we have so much to catch up with you about, Jodie, but let's just talk about your journey here, because you started off in the banking world.
Yes, I did.
mean, what a strange twist and turn. And I know kind of a chance meeting with Pharrell changed everything, but did you imagine when you were a banker, like, I am putting a square peg in a round hole. This is not right for me.
I mean, that is how I felt, you know. But I didn't necessarily know like where I was supposed to be. But I just knew that I didn't want to be there. Like, I didn't feel like, because I looked around and saw other people enjoying their job, right?
Yes.
So I was like, oh, it's possible.
You can have fun.
I can
right.
enjoy my job, but I'm not enjoying it. So maybe I need to go and find something that I do enjoy. But I was like, what is that?
But were your parents trying to keep you on the straight and narrow?
I think they felt they were so proud of me that I had, I'd done everything and I had gotten myself there. And I think they were like, you're an adult, you can figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
But I think also like my mom was like,
oh God. Let's talk about the Pharrell of it all. You went to a show, you were backstage.
Yes.
What did he say to you that made you change a lot?
I mean, he just, there had been already like some ideas in my head, but then I met this person who was a stranger to me and who I felt like, was plugged into that world. Who was like, and Pharrell, when he's like really excited about something, he was just like so excited, and it was like, you should be in front of the camera. Like, you're so beautiful. Like, what are you doing? Like, you should be in front of the camera. And I was like, if this like complete stranger is like showing this like faith in my abilities, like maybe I should just show some faith in myself. So, like, let me go and explore and
how was that?
See what that will.
Was it?
I mean, it was a lot of hard work, a lot of heartbreak, a lot of no's. Do you know what I mean? Before I really figured out like where I wanted to be and what worked for me, and also like when I started as well, it's always a challenge. I think being black in the business and being dark skinned, but it was definitely less in vogue than and so there were a lot of different struggles, but I'm not afraid of hard work.
First of all, I love that, because I think some people think lucky accidents means that there's no work involved, but also you had to listen to yourself and know that those no's did not define you. How did you do that? Where do you get your strength from?
I mean, look, I think to do this job, you have to be like kind of cuckoo, like thinking like, you know what I mean? Like this like adamant belief that like, no, I could do this. So part of it is that, like insanity. But
Well said, well said.
But the other thing is, like, I also just always felt like God was showing me little signs along the way that would sort of affirm this belief that I had in myself. And I was just leaning into faith. Do you know what I mean? It's just faith, right? And that's it. The faith of a mustard seed. I just held on to it and nurtured it and just continued to. And then I put in the work. I was like, I will work towards this. And every time I hear a no or I find a door closed, then I'm going to go and keep working, because all that's going to do is edify me and make me better. And
I feel like you're a bounce back person too. I mean, anyone who can take all those no's, and both of us have had plenty of no's in our career, we know what it's like. Not just professionally, but also personally. It's like sometimes when things don't go the way you want, it's like, how do you come back? So how did you navigate all that stuff?
You know, I think that, again, I mean, just like, and I come from an immigrant family, we were not wealthy. I think there's certain things that like are ingrained in you, and then like I'm a dark-skinned black woman. Like, if I let no stop me, I mean, I would be weeping in a corner somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just. You just have to, you let it just roll off you, and that's all you can do. And then that's the work, is like, how do I get better at hearing no and not letting it destroy me? Yeah.
So sis was very ambitious and very educated. I'm not surprised. She has Caribbean parents. That's one thing that they really expected of us, especially if they immigrated to a Western country. They wanted us to go to school. We done came this far for you to go to school and to make something of yourself. So sis is very educated, very smart, and beautiful at the same time. Now, she is also an actress and very acclaimed, y'all. She's not as seasoned as Joshua because she didn't start when she was a child, but sis is in her bag, okay? And she's very talented. Now, she started her acting debut in True Blood. She's also been featured and has acted in a lot of very popular, notable movies. Now, the movie that made her a breakout star was Queen and Slim, the one about black love. Now, Queen and Slim is like the Bonnie and Clyde for the black community, and a lot of people really liked her acting skills in that movie, but it did cause a lot of controversy because at the time, she was dealing with Joshua Jackson, but we're getting too far ahead now. Remember, Queen and Slim was in 2019, so let's go back. As we know, Joshua Jackson was a heartthrob. Now let's get into his dating timeline. And I got this article from Pop Sugar. Now let's start with his first public relationship, and that was with his co-star Katie Holmes. Yes, y'all, they dated. This was in 1997. So, here they said that little is known about his relationship with Katie Holmes. When asked about their rumored romance by Rolling Stone in a September 1998 interview, Holmes played coy but didn't deny they had a romantic relationship, sharing, "I'm just going to say that I met somebody last year. I fell in love. I had my first love. And it was something so incredible and indescribable that I will treasure it always." The pair had already amicably broken up by that point. However, she continued, "I feel so fortunate because he's now one of my best friends. It's weird. It's almost like a Dawson and Joey type thing now. He's been in the business so long and he's really helped me. I respect him as a friend and as a professional." Katie Holmes is still really good friends with Joshua Jackson to this day. And she even went on the James Corden show. That little rotund guy that likes to sing in cars with people. She went on his show, and then she said, well, she didn't really say, but she indirectly said that Joshua Jackson was the best kisser between him and James Vanderbeek. Y'all gonna watch this.
Kissing scenes in your time, Katie. Do you remember your first?
I do remember my first, and it was I was 18, and it was on Dawson's Creek, and it was a guest star, and it's so awkward because with the first kiss in life, like if it doesn't go well, you're kind of like, oh, I gotta get home, or thanks.
Sure.
Never have to deal with that person, but on screen, you're gonna have lunch, and you probably have to work together tomorrow, so it's a little bit.
So was it a bad one or a good one?
Oh, it was good.
Who was the best kisser? Who was the best kisser on Dawson's Creek?
I can't.
Dabiq or...
Yeah, come on.
Dawson or Pacey? Dawson or Pacey? Who was the better kisser?
Who do you think?
I think Dabiq, because I would get straight up in his grill. Honestly,
I went to high school with Josh, and I can tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser. Really? Is
that true?
High school. I really think
Is it Joshua over Dabiq?
I mean, you know.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. It's affirmative. Pacey's better than Dawson. I can't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Now look at Ryan Reynolds' old thirsty behind. Just had to let people know, yeah, we went to high school together. They actually did. So in case most of y'all don't know, Ryan Reynolds is also Canadian as well. One day I might do a case study on this one right here, because Ryan Reynolds is something else. Look at him saying it so proudly. I could tell you right now, he's a terrific kisser. How would you know, Ryan? How you know that? Is it something you want to tell us? Because if you're telling the story, you might as well tell us the whole thing. Let us know, Ryan. How do you know Joshua Jackson's a good kisser? See, this is what I be talking about here. Why is he minding this man's kissing business? That lets me know that Ryan Reynolds is something else, y'all. Let me tell y'all. Ryan Reynolds is not beating them allegations. That's all I would say. But again, this is not about him. This is about Joshua Jackson. Let's continue. So next, he dated Brittany Daniel. Now, Brittany and Cynthia were the Sweet Valley twins in the 90s/2000 era. I used to watch that show a lot. I love Sweet Valley High. Now, Brittany is the one who also starred in The Game. She was Jason Pitt's wife, Kelly. And they dated for a short time. And then he briefly dated Rosario Dawson for like a year. And then he dated Diane Kruger from 2006 to 2016. We're going to stay on that relationship, y'all, because this one is very important. Now, the thing is that I know some people are like, why are you bringing up his ex? She ain't got nothing to do with it. She has everything to do with this, y'all. She has everything to do with this because she's part of the story. And we're going to see how integral she was to this story and how him breaking up with her led to him and Jodie being together. And let's see the parallels and differences between Jodie and Diane. Now let's hear how Diane and Joshua met and also how they started dating.
Her girlfriend, Diane Kruger, beautiful, was on the show a while ago, and she was talking about you, and she started talking about your first date. And this is a classic, and it relates to the affair, because it's like a he said, she said. But according to her, you picked her up for the first date that you had.
Yes.
And you went out, and you did all the talking, and then she said you talked about yourself, and then you guys left the restaurant, and after what she thought wasn't a great first date, you went in for a kiss, which she didn't think was
appropriate.
Yeah. That was her story. She told that sitting in that chair.
Oh, I know.
Now this is your...
Yeah, because I then, she comes home like, really? That's the romantic story you tell about us? So let me tell you what actually happened.
Yeah.
What actually happened is, I'm inviting this very beautiful European woman out to a first date. So I called a friend. I was like, I need a fancy restaurant. I like a really nice Italian place. So I get this restaurant. I'd never been there before. I book it. I'm feeling pretty proud of myself. We get there, and she immediately starts having an allergic reaction to whatever the pretty flowers were in the place. And so she starts like sniffling and sneezing for the next hour and a half. What else am I supposed to do? The choices were sit in silence or vamp. As I'm sure you know, sometimes you just gotta vamp. So yeah, I might have talked a little bit too much at dinner, but I was just trying to keep the conversation moving. And then why not lean in for the kiss?
Right.
I mean,
although if she's sniffling and having an allergic reaction, if someone's literally like breaking out in hives, that's not when I like, time to go in. Give me a little bit of that anaphylaxis.
I just
EpiPen and kiss.
And I'm out.
Well, I hear your story now, and I feel like it's unfair that she didn't mention any of that.
Okay, and then on top of which, it's a German thing.
She's from Germany.
She's all German, 100% German.
Yeah.
Can't help herself. That was her telling of a romantic story. For her, that was a very sweet telling of that story.
Right.
And she misses out the sweetest. Like I did an actually romantic thing afterwards. The next day, because we'd had such a miserable date, and I figured I was never going to hear from her again. I sent her a box of flowers with a Kleenex in it. I thought that was really nice.
That is sweet.
Somehow that doesn't make it into her telling the story.
Well, also, what if she doesn't misinterprets, like, with the clean? I mean, who knows?
Well,
I
know you're giving a flower. Yeah. Having a flower to Germans, it's like, they'll just die.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah, she's like, that was actually her reaction. Yeah. Was like, but why? Well, no, she doesn't speak. She's like,
isn't she a mad scientist?
Like, why?
These flowers would be perfect for my experiment.
But she literally was like, why would you give me these? I'm leaving town. They're just going to die.
Yeah. Now then, it took you a long time before you actually started that date. That bad date set you back for a long time.
I put me deep in the friend zone.
Right.
There was like an almost 2-year digging out from under that date.
2 years?
2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good God, you were persistent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wasn't in a monastery in the meantime, but yeah.
Oh.
So y'all heard his side of the story. Let's highlight the important parts. He invited her to a fancy restaurant. This poor woman starts having an allergic reaction to the flowers. Instead of helping her through her distress, because we don't know what kind of allergy she had. She was, you know, sneezing and howling and coughing up a lung in that place. Watery eyes. Instead of going out to the pharmacy to try to get us some medication, getting out of the restaurant, or maybe trying to find another space for her to sit down, this man kept talking and yapping. He yapped the whole time. Then, the next day, he sent her a box of flowers with Kleenex in it because he thought that was romantic. Now, this is where sis went wrong. Red flag, red flag. This man showed no type of care towards you. He did not care that you were literally fighting for your life at that moment. All he wanted to do was talk about what? Himself. So that leads me to two conclusions. Either he has a kind of social phobia or issue that prevents him from kind of reading social cues, because that does happen. I know a lot of people who struggle with autism and other kind of mental barriers. They cannot pick up on social cues. This man said nothing about mental health. So I'm going to assume that he is just selfish. That's it. He's selfish. And I know we hate to throw this word around, but that's a narc tendency, y'all. So he's already showing with Diane that he's a narky. And he kept trying. She was a challenge for him. And then he was able to get her. Keep that in mind, by the way, guys, that he chased her. And he said she's German, and you know that's why she didn't appreciate the box of flowers with the Kleenex. That ain't had nothing to do with her being German. She just thought you were an asshole and a douchebag. That's it, that's all. She had time to reflect on the date, and she was like, wait, hold up. This man got me messed up. He's sitting here blabbing and talking while I'm in distress. Can't even help me get any type of allergy medication. And then he went in for a kiss after, as if I'm supposed to give it up to him. Like he's God's gift to women. Now, this lets me know that he was feeling himself after the whole, you know, Pacey Witter. He knows he's popular. He knows he's popping. And so he's just showing up in any type of way. I'm Joshua Jackson, so here we go. The great value George Clooney, because that's what he is. That's what he looked like, a great value George Clooney. Notice he chased her for 2 years and she finally said yes. Now let's get to Sis's side of the story. There was an article written titled Diane Kruger wanted to slap Joshua Jackson on their first date. Remember, he was romanticizing their first date like, oh, it wasn't as bad as she's saying it. Did she tell you I got her the flowers with the Kleenex? She ain't tell you that? Sir, she ain't need to tell us none of that. Because I could already tell you were not a prize on the date. Not only did he go on the Conan O'Brien show and kind of recount how he met Diane, he also said it in a U.S. Weekly magazine. So this man liked the yap. He likes to yap. So just remember, this man likes to yap. All right? Keep that in mind. Jackson told U.S. Weekly that his first date with the German actress was a miserable one, thanks to a dangerous cocktail of allergens and nerves. He continues to say, I took her to an Italian restaurant and there was some flower that was blooming. She was allergic to it, so she sniffled and sneezed the entire time. Not just a little bit. She sniffled and sneezed the entire time. This man couldn't have gotten her a tissue that night. He waited until the next morning to give her a box of tissues, sir. Now, this is diabolical, y'all. He said, when I get nervous, you might have noticed I talk a lot. So I just chewed her ear off for an hour and a half. It was amazing. I'm surprised she ever called back. Sis had no backbone, y'all. She had no self-esteem because ain't no way I would have called this man back. I don't care how fine you are. This is crazy. Now, I'm going to tell y'all why she gave him a chance. This woman had just gotten a divorce, y'all. So, I'm going to give y'all a little bit about Sis's background. She married French actor and director Guillaume Canet. And they were married from 2001 until 2006. They got a divorce in 2006. When did she meet Joshua Jackson? 2006. Sis was not healed. Joshua was probably the first man that she encountered post-divorce. And mind you, she was dating that man from 1999 to 2006. That's a few years out of Sis's life. So she been out the dating game for a little bit. Let me tell y'all something. Red flag. Moving on so quickly right after your marriage is a big red flag. Especially a marriage. Anytime you get out of a long-term relationship, please take time to heal, y'all. I don't care how long it takes. Because the dating game is not the same as when you entered. Every few years, there's more foolishness. More foolishness between the time. So imagine those years that she was married. Look at the foolishness she had to encounter afterwards. This man couldn't even be bothered to help her when she was needing his help. Sis needed to get healed. But instead she want to run around with Pacey. And now let's get to her side of the story. Kruger told Conan. So remember, they both went on the Conan show trying to let the world know how they met. She said that she wasn't even aware that she and Jackson were going on a date on that fateful evening in 2006, as his invitation had been unclear. Red flag. What are we going out for, sir? What are we going out for? What is going on? Are we friends? You just invite me on some Let's Connect in Hollywood type of business because she's also an actress. Or are you trying to get into my pants and be my man? Like, what we trying to do over here? What are we doing? What's the end game? What's the end game between us? He has a communication issue. Clearly. He doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't know when to stop talking. He talks too damn much. That's what I got out of this. And he doesn't care. All right. He thinks he asked me out on a date, which is not true because I did not agree to that. So what's going on, Diane? Sis, you gotta let us know what happened here. Because there's some type of miscommunication. What is it? What was the initial invitation for? Was he just trying to connect with you? Like, you got to let us know. Maybe she lets us know here. I agreed to have drinks with him. Okay, she did. So basically, they was just going on some, let's have drinks together. Maybe hook up. That's what I'm thinking. I actually had plans with someone else for dinner. So I didn't say yes to dinner. We were sitting at the bar and it's 9 o'clock and I'm ready to leave. Okay, so sis didn't even want to hook up with him. She's like, look, we was going out for drinks. I'm trying to go somewhere else because I don't know what he trying to do, but I'm trying to head out. He was going out for drinks. This man wanted to hook up. That's what he wanted to do because she's a beautiful German model. So he had that on his scorecard. He's like, oh, I got to get that girl. And y'all gonna notice he has a type. And he was like, let's go. We have dinner reservations. And I felt really bad because he looked eager and he put on a clean shirt. So sis, nah, you see, she felt bad. Now I'm trying to figure out, was she attracted to him? Because it sounded like sis was like hesitating. You see, her intuition was like, girl, run. Go on your other date, girl. You supposed to be going somewhere else. But now she want to feel sorry for the man because he done did everything he was supposed to do. He's not clear. He's very unclear. This man does not know what he wants, or he does not know how to convey what he wants, or he has an alternative motive. I don't know which one it is, but this date was a disaster and it should have stayed as one date. And so I was like, okay, fine, let's go. Translation, damn, all right. I'm just going to entertain him for a little bit and then just ghost him a little bit. That's what she tried to say. Kruger thought her allergies might cut the date short. So she was banking on her sneezing for him to be like, you know what, maybe this is not going to work. Like, let's regroup, take a rain check, and maybe try another time. But no, remember, this man was yapping. I thought he might say, let's call it a day. I'll bring you home. She remembered. That's what he should have done as a gentleman. That's what he should have done. And of course not. He talked about himself for an hour and a half nonstop. Joshua has a problem. So you mean to tell me this man talked about himself for an hour and a half? You was sneezing for an hour and a half, sis, and you didn't know that this was a problem. Then the article continues and says, oh, it gets worse. He took me back to my hotel in his car, which was a piece of shit, she went on. Excuse me, but it was. The door was eaten by his dog. It smelled so bad. If you know Josh, you know he's not the tidiest of guys, so trust me, it was not cute. Red flag. And after all that, he still went in for a kiss. I swear to God, at the end, I was like, should I slap him? Kruger admitted. Let me get this straight, sis. This man was unclear about his intentions for the date. Second, he took you out drinking, then said, oh, let's go out to dinner. Third, you had allergies, and this man sat and talked about himself nonstop for an hour and a half. Then after that, he proceeds to drive you to the hotel in his dirty, smelly car that his dog bit and chewed a part of. This man was not tidy, meaning AKA he was dirty. He couldn't even clean himself up or his car for the date. And you still ended up going out with him for 10 years. See, the first date was going to set her up, because I'm going to tell y'all something. And this is from my experience. This is where personal experience comes in. The first date is a predecessor and predictor of how your relationship's going to end. So if your man was a gentleman and he was thoughtful, kind, a good human, caring on the first date, chances are that he will be like that. Chances are. Now, I know there are some imposters, y'all. And if he's wearing a mask, it'll come off. Trust and believe me. But chances are that he'll be consistent with it. Or he should be. You should hold him to that standard. This man had no standards. He just knew that he was Joshua Jackson. All the girlies loved him. But this is how he wanted to present himself to his preference, to the woman that he really liked. I don't even want to know how he presents himself to a woman he hates, because this man clearly should have been left at that restaurant. So flaws and all, sis went after him. By the end of 2006, the ambiguity was gone, and Jackson and Kruger were establishing themselves as a red carpet mainstay. So within a few years, their attitude towards marriage became the focus of the media of Hollywood. And she said that she and Joshua did not equate marriage with commitment. No paper you have signed will keep you around. So sis was healing, y'all. She was like, I'm done with marriage. I don't want to be married no more. So I'm just going to continue just being in a long-term relationship, but no more marriage for me. Been there, done that. I don't want to go through that again.
Go team. Your last moments in civilization, how you feeling? Today, we are going to travel through the wilds of Death Valley, surviving only on the water produced by our farm.
It looks like water.
Give it a sniff. Here goes.
2 years later, Jackson told U.S. Weekly, marriage is important for the people it's important for, but neither one of us is particularly religious. So I don't think there is any particular push. But like any good media trained person in the public eye, he kept the door open, adding, but never say never. I don't know. So marriage wasn't on his mind. This man was a playboy. He just wanted to, be around. Just be around for a good time, long time, but not for a commitment. He was like, look, we committed enough. This is it. This is as good as it gets for us, okay? When it came time for Diane to introduce her German mother to Joshua, how about this woman came out with his mugshot? So she had clippings of all of his achievements. And then she came out and said, look here. This right here is the best one. What was going on here? So she basically was like, look here, I got your mugshot. And Kruger was not amused by her mother's stunt. She thought it would be cute to go, so I see you've been arrested in 1997 at the hockey game. And says, whose fault was it? Yes, mother. Now, do I think that she should have approached it a different way? Yes, because Ma Dukes was being messy. You know what, Ma Dukes? I'm here for it because you gonna go after my daughter. I need to know about your whole entire history. Because, sir, why you sitting here nooking and booking at a hockey game? Explain yourself. If you want to be with my daughter, I need to know all of your skeletons, especially when it comes to that. If you like to get violent and belligerent, I need to know what my daughter's getting herself into. Now, she said she didn't talk to her mama for 2 out of them 3 days that they were staying there. It must have been very tense. But she should have listened to mama because mama had the right mind. Now, let's get to how they broke up, y'all. Now, before we get to how they broke up, I want to note something very interesting. So in 2012, there were some engagement rumors going around that he was going to propose to Diane. Earlier this year, Joshua 33 sparked engagement speculation after he won a $45,000 necklace at an auction and was quoted as announcing it to be an engagement gift for the 35-year-old blonde beauty. And the French star, because he was starring in like a TV show called French, he joked that the purchase was a horrible mistake because of the rumors it sparked. He continued to say, I made a horrible mistake at an auction by raising my hand when I shouldn't have, and it started a bunch of rumors that were very, very costly. We're not engaged. This man didn't want to get married, y'all. So now this is my conclusion here before I get to how they broke up. He knew she just got out of a marriage. And he was cool with that because he knew chances are that she's not going to want to get married again. After you done been married, you got a divorce, you don't want to get married again. You just want to heal yourself. Some women, they heal themselves alone. Some women like to get up under men. She one of the ones that like to get up under men. And he knew that she wasn't going to be rushing his timeline. So he like, look, I could get away with not talking about marriage for a few years. But now, as the time went on, people started putting pressure on them. Because remember, they're Hollywood stars. He's Joshua Jackson. When are you going to get married? When are you going to have babies? We want to see that. And so he was like making a joke out of it because he won a prize talking about an engagement gift. And now he's like, no, we're not engaged. It was just a joke. It was a prank. That's his version of saying it was a prank. It was a joke. It wasn't meant to be serious. I was just joking with y'all. Now, when it came to having children, they said that they were working on starting a family. When asked if they plan on having children, Joshua said, kids are one of those things that kind of happen, aren't they? Certainly we're working on it if that's what you're asking. Sir, at your big age, come on now. We got to be more smarter than that. This man had no plan in sight, y'all. Let's hear more of Sis's thoughts about marriage. So even though they didn't plan on getting married, they wanted to have children. So it looks like Sis was wanting to have the kids and her clock was ticking. And she said that she could see herself raising her kids in Paris. I see myself raising kids there. I would love that, having little French babies in Boat Point. She said of the city, it's part of the deal. I come with Paris. There's no negotiating that. And then when they said, what's that little rock on your left hand, she said that it's not an engagement ring because, mind you, she was 37 at the time. She said what's important is the commitment. It's not the size of the ring you wear on your finger. You know, I don't place particular importance on that, but I would love a nice gift. So Sis seems to kind of echo what Joshua was saying. All right, we just going to have the kids. We're not going to get married, and we just going to leave it at that. So in July of 2016, the couple announced that they were splitting after 10 years together. Diane Kruger and Josh Jackson have decided to separate and remain friends. Reps for both of them confirmed exclusively to People. Kruger, 40, and Jackson, 38, began dating after Kruger split from her husband of 5 years, French director Guillaume Canet. Kruger and Jackson own houses in both Paris and Vancouver and lived together in New York, where they were often spotted taking strolls around the city. The two were last seen together in February of that year. Mind you, this was announced in July. Now, let's get into what Sis said after the breakup, because that's very important. But before we get to that part, I want to bring up a point that her ex-husband was French. And notice how she said that she wanted to raise her kids in Paris. and that they also had a house in Paris and in Vancouver. And also that it was non-negotiable. Sis was trying to recreate the life that she was supposed to have with her ex, with Joshua. That's what it was. While Diane and Joshua were together, he reconciled with his deadbeat dad.
Billy Connolly was on, and Connolly was saying that...
He was probably less easy.
Yes, he was fantastic, yeah, it's true. But he did say that, I mean, his mother had left the family when he was young. He said that he was at a show one day, and backstage a woman came and said, "Are you Billy Connolly?" And he reached for his pen to give her an autograph, and she said, "I'm your mother."
Whoa.
And it's like, that's heavy.
I had kind of a similar experience. I was doing a play in London, and the stage manager came back and he said, "There's a guy at the back door," he says, at the stage door, says, "Is your father?" I said, "Don't worry about it. He's a crank. I haven't seen my father in 20 years. And he comes back and he goes, "He's about 6'2", says, "Your mother's name's Fiona. You're born on June 11th, 1978 at a house in Topanga, and you lived in Topanga when you were a kid." I was like, okay, that could be him. And so there he was after 20 years. Just came to, I don't know actually what it was about other than just to say, "I'm here." It was a very odd experience. It was difficult for both of us, but yeah, I feel that. It's tough. Lives throw some curveballs at you, man.
It can be really intense, right?
And it's intense, and that just boys to men and sons with fathers is such a fraught existence, and then to throw that distance and the broken families on top of it, and there's all sorts of, we can talk about this for hours, but I'll have to be laying like this instead.
That would be comfortable, man.
Yeah. There's all sorts of loyalty issues that go into that as well, because my mother's very much the one who raised us, and
it's hard to even try to make that effort towards your father, right?
It's just like having the conversation felt a bit like I was turning my back, which is not the case. That's my own weird guilt, and it's certainly not anything my mother would put on me, but I get where he's coming from. It's just a strange experience.
So after 20 years of abandoning your son, you saw him on Dawson's Creek, you saw his money went up, you saw that he was successful, and then all of a sudden you want to be a father. May every deadbeat father never know peace. This man left his son for 20 years. He doesn't know what trauma he inflicted on that man. This man has not been able to be in a committed relationship since he saw his parents' relationship crumble. His dad stepped out on them when he needed his dad the most. This man left his 8-year-old son and let his mama raise him alone. No father figure. None, because she didn't remarry. And then now he want to come, I'm your daddy. So an absent father can significantly impact a son's ability to form healthy relationships, leading to difficulties in establishing trust, intimacy, and positive self-concepts. Sons may struggle with emotional regulation. We saw that when he got arrested. Have trouble with social interactions. We saw that with his first date. On his first date, he didn't know how to have the social cues and enough wherewithal and enough sense to go and help this woman. And experience difficulties in future relationships. We're going to get into that. The absence of a father can also contribute to feelings of worthlessness, insecurity, and lack of direction, further impacting their development. Now, in the case of Joshua, I am very happy that he took up acting. To be honest with you, he rose above the odds. And shout out to his mother for raising him. To be quite honest with you. Now, is he quality in relationships? No. Obviously, I'm going to get into it. But we also have to take into consideration that he had a messed up childhood, y'all. Childhood trauma is real. And you need to really pay attention to this when you meet a man. If he starts saying that his dad wasn't around, his mom was a single mother, or vice versa, if his father was around and his mom wasn't there, or even if his dad was there, but his dad wasn't present and emotionally there, the signs are going to be similar. Now, after they split, because sis said that they were split up for a long time before they announced it in July. And she said splitting from Joshua Jackson was liberating. Let's read a little bit about what Diane says. She didn't reveal exactly when the split happened, except that it was something that was a long time coming. Also, we broke up many months before we said we were broken up. So by the time I made that decision, it didn't feel like it was so urgent anymore. Yeah, don't break up overnight after 10 years. You know what I mean? Kruger also admitted that it was her call to end the relationship. So she's the one who broke it off. Not long after the split, Kruger started shooting in The Fade. I guess that's a TV show or a movie. Actually, it felt liberating, she said, of getting to work after the decade-long relationship, because I didn't have to worry about that anymore. So I could immerse myself 100% into something else. I felt like I did nothing else but that. Nobody came to visit me. I didn't have to worry about anything else but this. So now, there's more, y'all. Diane Kruger hints cheating caused Joshua Jackson's split. The actress uploaded a post about relationships to Instagram. This was in 2016 after they split, prompting speculation that she's referencing her 10-year relationship with Joshua. A relationship without trust is like having a phone with no service. And what do you do with a phone with no service? You play games, read the post. So, this is very interesting. Now, let's get into her new relationship, because this is going to make sense. I know y'all waiting for the Jodie Turner part, but this, trust me, we got to visit Diane and Joshua before we get to Jodie and Joshua. Now, it said that Diane was accused of cheating on Joshua with her co-star Norman Reedus. But notice how she said, when you lose trust, you play games. So that was a get back. If this is really the case, allegedly. Sis was getting her get back. She was like, oh, you want to play with me? I'm going to play with you. Now let's get into what his deadbeat dad had to say about his breakup with Diane. Because for somebody who wasn't there for 20 years, he sure had a lot to say. And it's interesting to me that he got all the smoke to say that, but he couldn't say why he left his son. Yeah, he couldn't say that. He couldn't say that. He couldn't tell us why he abandoned his son, like the deadbeat scum that he is. He couldn't tell us that, but he had all the time in the world to tell us why Diane and Joshua broke up. Let's get to it. As Radar Online previously reported, witnesses said that German actress 39 was all over Reedus 46. Because remember, she split with Joshua Jackson and got with her co-star Norman Reedus as get back for him cheating, allegedly. After arriving at a village dive bar on Friday at 1:30, at one point even straddling him in his chair. Sis was wilding out. Sis did not care who saw it. Paparazzi film us, film me straddling him so I could get under Joshua's skin. But Joshua's dad isn't disturbed by the graphic accounts of the incident. He said, basically, I think Diane has been a wonderful influence on Josh, so I wouldn't say anything bad about her, he explained. Josh is just in Hollywood. This is rare. A really good kid. How would you know? You weren't even there. How would you know, Mr. Carter Jackson? How would you know? Carter Jackson, who has known his son's girlfriend since about 2006, said he believes that a relationship like theirs is especially unusual in Hollywood. Josh has been raised in a really tough business, and I think he's a really sweet kid, and I think Diane is too. So you see, I'm not going to say anything about my attitude towards the particular incident, he told Radar. It's up to them. Both of them are really neat people though, and believe me, having spent so much time in Hollywood, there's a lot of people I would not say that about. Ultimately, Joshua's father said he wouldn't fault Kruger for her alleged misbehavior. This man is the worst piece of human shit ever. So for him to say all that and he wasn't even involved in his son's upbringing and abandon him speaks volumes. He wasn't even there as a co-parent, y'all. Didn't send him a dime. Didn't send his mother a dime. And from what I understand, it's not that his mother kept him away from his father. He just left. Because he's a loser. He's a loser. And now, Joshua Jackson, in a 2025 article, said that he had sympathy for his late father after being neglected by him. Now, if that does not show you that this man is hurting, like, this is crazy. This is what deadbeat dads do. They leave. Mothers left with all that responsibility. and then they can show up and be the hero. This man took his dad back and even sympathizes with him. Mama was doing all the leg work. All the grunt work mother was doing. His mama was the one struggling to put food on the table for him and his sister. And now this man gets to bask in the glory of his greatness that his mother did, not him. And now his son still wants a relationship with him. This is insanity. All right, so Diane and Joshua, they split. Splitsville. They're done. All right. And Diane done moved on. It was a match made in heaven. Now, let's get to Joshua and Jodie Turner-Smith. So post-breakup, Joshua dated a little bit. You know, he did his little thing. But he was heartbroken over his breakup with Diane. I don't think he really thought she was going to leave him. But sis said, bye. Peace. Chuck up the deuces. Now, mind you, remember the timeline. They announced their breakup in July of 2016, and sis popped out with this dude in July of 2016. Sis did not give a damn. Let me tell y'all, sis was a woman scorned. She's like, oh, that's the game we playing? Well, two can play that game. I'm popping out with my man. So, all right, remember that timeline. Then in November 2018, she had her first child with this man. So that means she was pregnant between 2017 to 2018. Keep that in mind. Now, Joshua and Jodie Turner-Smith. Now, let's get into how they met because that caused a lot of controversy, y'all. Jodie Turner-Smith actually told us, the public, how her and Joshua met while she was a guest on The Late Show with Seth Meyers. Now, I cannot find this interview for the life of me, y'all. I've looked everywhere. I've looked yonder. I've sleuthed the internet for this. I couldn't even find it on Lipstick Alley. So that's how you know it's buried deep in the internet. So nobody was able to screenshot this whole situation. But I have the transcript, kind of like the description of what happened. I guess sis got drugged so much and there were so many negative comments that they made the video private, y'all. So it was pretty explosive and it caused a lot of stir within the social media community. Now let's get into how they met and when they met because it matters to the timeline that we have. Joshua Jackson and Jodie Turner-Smith, they started dating in 2018 after meeting at a party. Now, whose party was that? It was Usher's party. Usher, baby. And it was his 40th birthday. Now, it didn't say the exact date, but let's say that they met probably towards the end of October. Remember, his ex was pregnant. Y'all remember that, right? She been moved on. She was been done. And this man was single for the whole time. Lurking. He was living out his F-boy fantasy, okay? Now, sis said to Seth Meyers that the pair had a passionate one-night stand after meeting. Jackson clarified that it was technically a 3-night stand. Lord, remember I told y'all he liked the yap. Now, she said when she first met Joshua, they had a one-night stand, and he had invited her to stay at his apartment when he wasn't there. But that wasn't it. She reiterated to Seth how much of a Dawson's Creek fan she is, and how, of course, she's Team Pacey. Hashtag Team Pacey. But she didn't let Joshua in on that fact when they met. He knew, sis. He knew you was thirsty. He knew it. He knew it, sis. He could sniff it. I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. Come here. Gather around, folks. Gather around. People know when you're thirsty. We know. We can smell it. Hell, I've been thirsty in my day. I used to be a thirst bucket. She talking about she ain't want him to know. Girl, everybody at that party knew you was thirsty. Let me tell y'all something. People just know. And one thing I will say about Jodie, I can already tell she was sheltered. If she grew up in a Caribbean household, especially with Jamaican parents, sis was sheltered. The way she's telling this story is as if she's in her early 20s. Y'all, mind you, this woman is in her 30s at the time, but you can't help yourself because you're technically stunted in dating. So even though sis was accomplished on so many levels when it came to education, when it came to her career, she had no clue what dating was about. I couldn't even find out who she was dating before. She doesn't have an extensive dating history, y'all. So Joshua was probably one of her first relationships, if not her most serious relationship. Not only that, but he was her first white man. We gonna get into that soon. So she's never been with a white guy before. And not only that, but this was her childhood crush. Do you know how thirsty she must have been? She must have been so hot, bongy. She was hot for that man. She's like, ooh, I gotta get this guy, but I'm not gonna show him. Girl, he knew. He knew, because he's a fuck boy. He knows, he could sniff it. And he's like, I got my victim right here, this little girl right here. She feeling your boy. Like, who doesn't know Pacey from Dawson's Creek? Especially, she's born in 86. She's a millennial. Come on now. We knew. Everybody knows who Pacey is. Come on now, let's be for real. Let's listen to Sis's delusion that he didn't know that she was into him, because she swear that she had it all figured out. And I'm like, girl, I did not show my hand at all when we first met. I saw him before he saw me, and when I saw him, I was like, I want that. And then when he saw me, I just pretended like I didn't see him. You telling me you didn't see this bright light man at Usher's party? That's what I was saying. The mindset is the sheltered mindset. And how do I know it? Because I was also sheltered. I was under that same delusion, the fantasy land, that nobody could figure out. Oh, he doesn't know I like him. Let me show him signs. Girl, he knew I liked him. He just didn't care. He didn't care. Or he wanted something from me, and he knew he could get it from me because I was a dummy. I'm going to be honest. I was a big dummy, especially in my 20s. I was queen dummy. And I was Queen Masculina on top of that. Let's continue with this story. And then when he saw me, I just pretended that I didn't see him. So he had to yell across the room to me. And I was wearing this t-shirt that said the future is female ejaculation. And it was worn by Tessa Thompson's character Detroit in the film Sorry to Bother You. So he shouts across the room, Detroit! And I was like, And then he came over and he was like, hey. And then all night he basically followed me around the party because he wanted some. Girl, you didn't do nothing for him. This wasn't nothing romantic. He just wanted a smash. This man was going through it, y'all. He done lost a relationship. And then he was trying to just get over that long-term relationship. His ex is about to have a baby with her co-star. So you know damn well he was probably in his feelings about that, because men do not like when you move on. Let's be real. Let's be clear. They might not love you, but they still don't want you to move on. This man knew what he was doing. He wanted to smash. That's why he was sniffing up under your butt. And you thinking, oh yeah, I told y'all it's the delusion. Girls who are born of immigrant parents that are sheltered, y'all need to wake up, y'all. Life is not a fantasy land. This man knows what he's doing. He's been around the world. Ay. He's been around. This man is Pacey, for God's sake. He done smashed everybody and their moms. We don't even know who he smashed at our fans. We don't know. We just know the public relationships. Imagine the ones that he didn't even publicize, yo. And then y'all want to hear his side of the story?
Josh, when did you first know your wife was the one?
When she walked into the room looking like that.
They were both attracted to each other, not for the romantic reasons. They just wanted to get it in with each other. I don't know if she's his first full black woman, but I'm assuming that she is, because he's giving me that vibe that he ain't never been with a black woman before, like a fully black woman. And this woman was from the UK. Remember, he likes European girls. And she's a model. And she's beautiful. She's stunning. Oh, yeah, he wanted that. That's what it was. She's not telling a lie when she says we started off mostly with sex. He's very honest, y'all. So that's how they hit it off, y'all. They went from a one-night stand to a three-night stand. She was all in his house eating up his food while he was away. He let her and her friends stay at his crib. Yeah, because he wanted to show off like, yeah, I got money. I'm Pacey from Dawson's Creek. I'm going to take care of y'all. And then that was their love story, y'all. We didn't hear anything about what he liked most about her other than, oh, I want that. That's it. Sexual. sexual. I would even go as far to say that there was a lot of fetishizing going on. So remember when I said that they met in 2018, that was like probably late October at Usher's party. Now, a few months later, in June of 2019, Joshua Jackson was seen kissing a mystery woman at the airport. We see him kissing another woman, not just a peck, y'all. He was making out with another woman at the airport. And mind you, US Weekly said that he was cozy with this woman at LAX airport 2 days after he attended a New York City party with Turner Smith. This man was a dog. He was a dog. And this man knew what he was doing, y'all. This man is calculating. He knows he's at LAX airport, paparazzi central. If he didn't want to be seen, he would have never done that. He knew he was going to get filmed, y'all. This man is a star. He's a celeb. He's been in the game since he was a child. He just did not give a damn. Because he's a fuckboy. He's been a fuckboy. He's been one since he was with Diane. He showed his colors, y'all. And then he's sitting here necking up with this girl, kissing her in front of everybody, knowing damn well paparazzi was going to catch that. And I believe that he did that on purpose because he wanted to see if sis was going to stay. Because some men like to test people. I know people say, well, grown men don't have time for these games. Yes, y'all do. Y'all do, especially if you have the mindset of this man right here. He knew she wanted him badly. Sis was thirsty since the party. Remember Detroit? And now, let's see if sis is going to stand for this. Is she going to stand up or sit down and take it? So now, this is out in the open. Everybody's like, yo, did they break up? Damn, what's going on? No, they didn't break up. And they just continued on. So they kept showing up, kept dating. Sis just acted like she didn't see nothing. The red flag wasn't there. She was just like, no, that's my man. And, making excuses for him possibly being like, he's a celebrity. This happens. We were just dating. It didn't mean nothing. And do you want to know how sis responded to him cheating a few months later? Let's get to their proposal. We're going to see.